Hello guys, how's it going? Let's tune you back again. This week we're going to review the Sega Astro City Mini V, which is the vertical version of the Sega Astro Mini. This one runs a lot of shoot 'em ups compared to the other one has a lot of horizontal Sega games. This one does have games from Toplan and Psycho and a couple of other companies, but there's one or two Sega games on here as well. So as you can see, the unit looks exactly the same as the original unit, except for it's got a vertical screen orientation. It's pretty much the same plastics, it's the same molds, it's the same connectors, it's the same joystick and buttons. Joystick is clicky, but not like super clicky, but does the job. It works perfectly well if you want to use the joystick on the machine to play it, either on this the machine screen or on a TV output. I will get out of the way straight away. This does have quite a bit of input lag compared to the other versions. If you've seen any of the other YouTubers out there, a lot of them have been saying this is a waste of money because of the input lag. What I have found that some games are worse than others. Some of the older games run okay, some of the new games don't, but we'll get more into that a little bit later. Like I say, pretty much comes in the same sort of package, well, a different package I suppose, but same idea. You can buy it from Amazon Japan at this moment in time. I think it'll run you back around about 150 quid posted. This isn't my version, so I bought it just to review basically. The only reason I did that is I did order one myself, but I changed my mind because I wanted to get a panel for the arcade cab, so I had to cancel it because I couldn't afford both. So that's the only reason I haven't got one. Otherwise I would have had one. What can I say about this? Right, this machine comes with, we'll get out of the demo mode. It comes with some very nice games on here. So we got Cosmic Police Galavan, we've got Action Fighter, Tetsujin or Truxton, Wrestle War, Sami Sami Sami, Outzone, Raiden, Desert Breaker, Dogyun, Sonic Wings, Tatsujin or Truxton 2, Batsugan, Grindstormer, Sengoku Aces, Greek Mahu, Daisakusen or Kingdom Grand Prix, Gunbird, Striker Snake 45, Arm Police Bat Rider, Batsugan, Terror Cresta, Zaxxon, sorry, that was Moon Cresta, Zaxxon and Terror Cresta, and back to Arm and Cosmic Police Galavan. I say it does have some very nice games on here. It does have some really good shoot 'em ups that have never been released on anything else before. It's got the few games released, like obviously everyone's played Truxton probably. Wrestle was released on the Mega Drive, Sam Masami Mega Drive. Outzone was never released on anything, so that is a classic. Raiden was everywhere. Desert Strikers, another Sega game that was never released on anything. It's a bit like Mercs with some extra sort of tactics and stuff to do. Dogyun is a Toplan game that no one ever talks about, which is a really nice Toplan game with some stunning artwork. Like the Psycho games were released on most things. Tatsujin or Tatsujin 2 was only ever released on the FM Towns. It's a very nice version on the Towns. I've actually played it on there. Batsugan was only ever released on the Saturn, which is very nice on there as well. Most of these games were released on the PlayStation or something like that. I'm sure Kingdom Grand Prix got released on the Saturn. What else we got? Bat Riders never got released before, or Battle Back Raid. So I think that's about it. So we'll go back to the attract mode. So it does have a very good games list. There's some older games that they may not bother with, but might have some fun with, but then there's the newer games. As to the input lag issue, I would say the only problem is the newer games do have, from what testing I have done, which is pretty much just recording the screen and playing it and see when I'm pressing the button, you're talking anywhere between 6 to 7 to 13 to 12 to 13 frames of input lag, especially on the newer games, which does make the newer games a little bit unplayable, makes it very difficult to play them. Some of the older games play okay though. I did stream it last night for about 5.5 hours roughly. and I went through pretty much every game, decided what was play. I wanted to see what was actually playable and what wasn't, even with the input lag issue. Things like Outzone, I nearly won credited it last night. So some games are playable on you, but your mileage may vary depending on if it's the newer games. Which is a little bit of shame because Backrider and Battle Backraid and Tatsushino would be probably the highlights of this collection, and they do have significant input lag. The machine itself, like I said, it's got decent buttons and stuff. The screen is quite nice on here as well. It's pretty nice quality and you can play the games on there. You do have screen filters. You have a non-filter, which pretty much gives you bilinear filtering, so it's named a bit odd, which gives you like a blurry look. And you have a vertical and a horizontal scanline filter, and you have a sharp filter, which pretty much a sharp filter means turning the filters off. Playing the games with the sharp filter, I'm not entirely sure. It might be a placebo effect, I don't know, but it might have a frame or two less of input lag by doing that. The games look a lot nicer, but unfortunately when you do that without the bilinear filtering, you get a bit of pixel crawl, or not so much pixel crawl, but more of uneven pixel size. You get a bit of a shimmer, but in some ways I'm willing to put up with that to have the better, sharper looking screen. So basically you've got to put it on the sharp filter, which turns all the filters off. The scan lines themselves, they look like arse. They're not right. It doesn't matter what screen you put them on. You get uneven scan line thicknesses because the screen is not in the correct aspect ratio. It's like they needed an aspect ratio option, so you could basically put it in there and the scan lines would have been perfect, which is a shame because they seem to put a lot more effort into the scan lines this time than any of the other minis. But unfortunately, without that force aspect ratio option, the scan lines don't look right. They look terrible. I suspect if you could force that aspect ratio, they would look perfectly fine, and they would actually probably look quite nice. So it's a bit of a shame. It's the same if you play them on the unit screen. Like, you don't really need scan lines on a screen that size, to be honest, but it's saying they just don't look right, unfortunately. I say, like the old one, you can TV out on you. It's got micro USB to power. What you need to be aware of with the power, this machine requires a 2 amp 5 volt power supply. So if you're going to run it with less than that from like a mobile phone adapter that takes less than 2 amps, you might run into issues. So you definitely need to put a 2 amp power supply in it. There's a lot of reports around the internet that people put in 5 amp ones and performing better. I tried a few and they seemed the same, to be honest. So I'm running it. When I streamed, I was using one that supplies 3.1 amps, and then I tried on one that says 2.4 amps, and they were the same. Didn't make any difference, to be honest. So just be aware of that if you do buy it. As for joypads, the original arcade stick, the original one came with, and the joypad, they both work on you. So they both just plug in and they're fine. Also, I found that the Brook Universal Fighting Board will work on you as long as you got the latest firmware. You hold down light kick and light punch when you're plugging it in. It will work on you fine, and the buttons are all correctly set up. I have heard reports that the 8BitDo M30 pad works on you as well, but I haven't tried that, so I don't know. So that's your input options, basically. The unit comes with the base as well. You can buy the base like the original one. So you got the little seat and the base is a money box, which is quite nice. Which I would suggest if you are going to buy this is to get the one with the get the base as well, because it looks far nicer on the shelf with the base on it. It does look like a mini replica of the original arcade machine then, obviously, but with a bigger, chunkier joystick. So my final thoughts on this. Like I said, I was gonna buy one myself and I ended up cancelling because I wanted the panel. And on reflection of playing this for a while, I am glad I did it. I suppose that says it all, because I would have probably used this and played on it a little bit, and I would have been disappointed with the input delay. But saying that, you got to know what you're getting into. At the end of the day, all these machines, they're not serious gaming consoles. They're not an Xbox, they're not a PlayStation, they're not a PC. These are mini consoles. These are supposed to be like a little sort of homage to the original machines, and they've chucked a few games on here to play. All the mini consoles have input lag, every one of them. some worse than others. The Mega Drive one I thought was a bit laggy. The PC Engine one is a little bit as well. But some of the others are not too bad, but they've all got input lag because they're emulators on a system on a chip. So you're going to get 4 or 5 frames of input lag anyway. But it all comes down to what game, if it's playable at the end of the day. Can you get used to that input lag? Can you playable? And I would say that a good two-thirds of the games on here, they are playable. Like I said, at Outzone, I nearly one credited it. You do get used to it a bit, and you do adjust for it. But you just got to know what you're getting into. If you're going to put this on a shelf and you're going to buy the base and you're going to use it, and you've got to sit it next to the original model, go for it. Why not? But if you're going to buy this as a serious replacement for playing these games on a screen and playing these shoot 'em ups, you're going to be disappointed. You are better off, playing on a Mister or playing on a PC or something like that. But that's going to cost you a lot more. So it swings and roundabouts at the end of the day. For me personally, I am sort of glad I didn't buy it because I would have used it to play on, and the input lag, especially on the latest games, would have put me off playing it. But then again, if I, most of the time, I would have ended up putting it on the shelf next to my other one as a double partner, so I'd have the horizontal and the vertical one. In that sort of ways, I'd probably still want one, just because I'm stupid. So yeah, take it for what it is. If you just want it, if you're using it as a serious gaming machine and replacement, one that would use this as a replacement for the arcade boards, it's just not going to stand up to that at all. But you could have a bit of fun playing on it, and if ultimately it's going to end up on a shelf and you're not going to play on it and you're just going to use it as a shelf filler or have it on a desk in work or just have it there for something you pick up and play occasionally, it's probably worth picking up. But just know exactly what you're getting into. You're getting into 6 to 13 frames of input lag, depending on the game, depending on what you're playing. Some are you can cope, some are a lot harder to play. So anyway, take it from my guys. That's the Astro City Mini. Like I said, a little bit of disappointment compared to the original version because I think the original version is better and does perform better. But as a shelf filler and a complement to the original version, it's probably quite nice. And it does have a fantastic games list. It's just a shame that some of those games are a bit tricky to play. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll catch you soon. Ta-da!